single-family home sales, and overall, the trend is still up. We have a lot of volatility here, right? But you got to just kind of look at the overall number of home sales continues to go up. The median home price continues to go up. Now, houses are staying on the market longer. There are a lot fewer multiple offer, for those of y'all that were buying a house or new people that were buying a house in 2013, 2014, it was hard to get a house. You might have put a bid in on a house and had 2 other people trying to outbid you. That is not the case anymore. It's moving more towards a buyer's market. So even despite oil dropping, we're still seeing a pretty good resilient nature from the housing market. That's an important characteristic. The economy in Houston is a lot more resilient than it was, say, in the 1980s. Here's just a chart of crude prices. You can just see how we were way up. The prices have dropped. It's been a lower for longer scenario. People are starting to liken this to the 1980s. I was very young then, 7 years old, or I guess 8 years old when this first started back in the 80s. But I do remember it. I remember the impact it had on my family. And my parents were kind of freaked out about making ends meet and things like that. Not this difficult this time, although much of the same, in that the prices have continued to stay in a low range, and rig count, which is really something that drives our economy here, has plummeted. We've seen all the way down to 404 rigs from 1,800 back in 2014. Times just did a piece. Dallas, unfortunately, is involved in a pension situation that is a result of years and years and years and years of lack of action. And I'm here to report, and it's good news, that the city of Houston has had similar issues, but the good news is we have taken steps to remedy this, and we will be going to the state legislature, I'll talk more about that later, to fix the pension problem. And we still have time to do that. The good news is we need to act now, and we're going to do that. So in looking with the pensions, and this is a national problem. Every city and state throughout the country has problems with unfunded pension liabilities. This is basically the ratio of funding, so the amount of money that we have in our pension funds versus the amount of money that we have to pay out for our retirees over time. It continues to decline. Houston actually is a little bit better than the national average. If you look at Dallas, they're around 42% funded, so they have 42% of the money they need over the next 30 years to pay their retirees. Houston is about in the 70s, so much better, but still challenging because we don't have a fully funded pension plan. So in 2001, people say challenges. Well, you got to be a student of history. How did we get into this problem? How did these challenges present themselves? In 2001, the Houston municipal employees, that's municipal employees, HPOPs is the police, and HFRRF is the fire. All 3 of them made changes to their pension benefits. We had an advisor at the time that told us these weren't going to have a really big impact on our bottom line. They were wrong. It had a pretty substantial increase in some plans. HMEPs, the employees, municipal employees plan, the initial percentage of payroll, and this is the amount of percentage that we pay for, what if your salary, if you pay someone $100, 15% or $15 of that is going to pay for pension benefits. Well, that number increased from 15% in some instances to 53%. So half of every dollar that the city was spending on payroll was going to fund future pension benefits. So that's a big challenge. That's a problem. And unfortunately, the way that these are structured, all these changes were made in the state legislature in Austin. And once you get those changed, it's very difficult to change them again. Like I said, again, we are working in this next legislative session in 2017 to make wholesale changes that'll fix this problem. But this thing's been going for 15 years. So moving on, what happened? We had initially a slightly overfunded pension system, so we actually had more money than we needed. And part of the reason they made the changes because they said, well, we got more money than we need, so let's change this and give some money back to the employees. Well well-intended, very well-intended, and I support all the hardworking employees, police, muni, and fire, but the plan design was flawed. We had bad information, and as a result, that unfunded liability from 2000, really this took place in 2001. By 2003, we had $2.2 billion unfunded liability, and that continued to grow. Bill White, as mayor, made some changes when he first came into office. It slowed that rate almost.
To make his presentation, and after that, you can ask all the speakers the questions. Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening. I see some folks right there chilling tonight. They're in school currently, and I really see you and me.
This one and this one.
My father only had a 7th grade education. That was the highest at the time when he was going to school that he could actually attain when he was in South Georgia. Fortunately, my mom and dad instilled in me the importance of education. I'm the baby of 5, and I'm the first person in my family to graduate from undergraduate. One of the things that's been constant in my life was that my father instilled in me the importance of treating people with dignity and respect, understanding the importance of education, and also understanding that regardless of where you come from, regardless of the circumstances that surround you, there's nothing that can stop you from being the best that you can be to attain your goals. And I didn't want to stop at just graduating from undergraduate school. I was very fortunate to get my master's degree. And along the way, I've got a number of individuals. When I'm retired, that you're the ones, the next generation of leaders that are there to take our cities to greater heights. One of the things my staff and I wanted to do is really, you know, it's easy to talk about challenges, as Controller Brown talked about, but we wanted to talk about some relevance as relates to public service and some of the things that you, as potential public administrators, will be grappling with in your future. What I want you to do, for those that don't know, my dad is, or was, he passed in 1990, a preacher. And I promise you I won't be doing any sermons, but I want you to look to your neighbor. You guys know about look to your neighbor. Look to your neighbor and say, change is constant. Oh, come on now. Change is constant. You know this, I know this, but the question is, have we embraced or can we embrace this concept? As we ponder this question, let me submit that we are gathered here tonight in a community that is on the cusp of change. Would you guys agree that around this university, we're at the cusp of change? Right outside this auditorium, growth and development is occurring at a record pace. Your university is expanding, as is the other campus of higher learning right up the street. That's the University of Houston. New businesses are setting up shop. Homes are being built and renovated. Churches are transitioning to retain and also attract congregations. Schools are being revitalized. Communities are being mobilized. Transportation options are multiplying, and the area's population is becoming more and more of a melting pot. In a nutshell, we are seeing our great diversity thrive. The demographics of that diversity, education, culture, business, religion, housing, so many more, define the change that is happening not only in Houston, but also in Missouri City, as well as Fort Bend and Harris counties. Here's the breakdown of the challenges and opportunities of the diversity in the Show Me City. One of the things that I take very much pride in is to see the great diversity. There's only so many cities that have double-digit diversity in all of the major ethnicities, whether that's Caucasian, African American, Asian, or Hispanic. We have double digits. But with that comes challenges as well as opportunities, whether that's in employment, recreational, housing, educational, land uses. The transition that's taking place here affects citizens, companies along Scott, Dowling, and McGowan Streets. The one taking place in my city affects a number of companies and citizens on Texas Parkway, Murphy Road, Cartwright Road, as well as Texas Highway 6. Change is constant, and it can be a challenge. However, no matter what area of public service you choose to explore, you must be prepared to be embraced by it, to be educated by it, to be engaged by it, and to be energized by it, which leads me to the importance of selfless service. Can we say selfless service? Selfless service. For the past 27 years, I've had the opportunity and been very fortunate to be a public servant, and have had the privilege of serving a number of cities, including Tallahassee, Florida, Macon, Georgia, Fort Worth, Texas, Austin, Texas, and now Missouri City, Texas. In all those years, there's been one lesson that stands out most for me. It's really not about me. It's about the people that we serve. Should you choose to be a teacher, a social worker, a public safety officer, an elected official, or a government employee like me or Controller Brown, being selfless with a focus on your commitment to service has to be your number one priority. And I'm emphasizing service because that's what we do. As public administrators, we serve. And I was very fortunate when I was in Tallahassee, Florida, to have an African-American female who's a city manager, most diverse city in the region. And I can tell you my journey has taught me that to truly be successful, all voices have to be represented at the table. The homeowner, the business owner, the consumer, the stakeholder, the schools, the visitors, the media, and yes, the critics, because you're going to always have a critic. All voices. It's critical, too, that you listen and learn from all of these audiences because no other profession, as I stated earlier, truly touches the day-to-day lives of people more so than public service. And you need all of these ideas to fill the budget deficit, to repave those streets, to fix those sidewalks, to create new programs, and to provide superior services. For instance, we all know about the revitalization in Emancipation Park, right up the street. The same focus is being placed on a community hub in my community, in and around City Hall, where we're trying to expand our City Hall complex by featuring an amphitheater, a veterans memorial, walking trails, and public art. Well, if it doesn't work, what I'll do is conclude by saying there's an old saying that if you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, keep moving forward. So that's my challenge to each of you. Keep moving forward. In spite of the obstacles that you may have in your life, you can make it. Hard work, dedication, treating people with dignity and respect. I assure you, you will be successful.
On that note, we'll field any questions you may have from the audience. And not everyone at once, as I used to say in my class.
Yes, we have.
Please turn the mics on
Yeah.
in front of you, right in front of you. Press the green buttons. Thank you.
Okay, it's on. Thank you. Questions?
We did a lot of research about the transportation and moving in Houston area and areas around Houston. Like we have no metro. I mean, they call it bus metro, but it's not really metro. We need underground metro in Houston and around areas around Houston, especially in suburb. And it's very hard for students and all people to really go from one place to another place. We have a lot of traffic, and lot of problems. The buses are not really safe, or it takes so much long time to stay in it for waiting for the bus, and we don't have any bicycle roads around Houston. So can we please help to fix that too? Because we, like, people in Houston can save a lot of money if these problems will fix. Thank you so much.
I'm going to defer that to you, sir.
Yeah, no, I think that's my realm. Look, again, not to harp on the theme of challenges, but, Houston being a large city and being a city that continues to grow, we continue to have congestion problems. We should have been building out our light rail system years and years ago. There were efforts to do that, but the political regime at the time was opposed to light rail, so we got behind the ball. We do have a light rail system now. We need, tens, if not hundreds, of additional miles, but it's going to cost a lot of money.